Hello and welcome into the RotoWire Esports Show. I am Andrew Laird, joined as always by Ethan Sexton today to talk about Thursday's four-game. We're back to four-game slate. LPL LCK. This entire week has just been all chalk. We didn't have a single upset in these two-game slates. I played an underdog yesterday, so I was dead, and I think people are. Based on some of the comments that we've seen in Discord, people are just getting sick of the favorites. Like, it's literally just not fun building the lineups that win. And so I'm hoping this four-game slate opens it up a little bit.
Yeah, same here. I completely get where people are coming from. Like, all three of these two-game slates so far this week have been double chalk. Every time we've done a video, you've said one of the teams is the biggest favorite we've seen so far this year, and it just makes it difficult. It makes it really hard to win GPPs without splitting with a bunch of people, and then it also makes cash kind of hard because if you make one mistake, you're screwed, right? You're out of the cut line. So it's definitely a frustrating experience when the matchups are as they've have been. I mean. Every favorite has swept, right?
Yeah.
These past 3 days. So, it makes it tough to really do anything interesting, and it makes it frustrating because if you make one wrong move, even if you're on the right teams, you're screwed. So,
right.
Today I nailed my captain, man. I had Huan Feng up in the captain spot, 20 kills, 170 points, rounding up a little. But I played 4v5, so didn't really work out, right? So evened out there.
I think
basically. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say it was basically just a conscious decision to be like, well, do I want to just jam in two favorites and make marginal profit, or screw one thing up and not make any profit, or do I want to just take a shot and try to go for first, which is where I just landed today.
I did the same. Huan Feng captain. I had a Suning long stack, but obviously with V5 you're not getting anything in that one.
Especially with Y4 subbing out after game one, right?
Right. The tournament that I entered had a 37-way tie for first, which is just a killer. Like, it's just not, you just can't do it. And so I think that's the worst part about these chalk two-game slates is that obviously chalk means everybody's playing them. And so you have to get you got to hit the nuts and hope that nobody else does. But when it's all chalk, it's like everybody is going to. And so I think the way that we played it is still the right way to play it. I think you're better off finishing last than finishing tied for first 37 ways in the long run, because just the way that your lineups will be, you'll eventually hit that one, and then that makes up for all the losses. As dumb as awful as that feels with constant losing, I mean, that's just what GPPs are about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just like, do I just want to be a drone and ho hum? Here's the two favorites. Let me split 9 million ways, or do I just want to take a shot at finishing with if I can get one upset, and it's not that crazy. Like V5 I didn't think they would win, but I could get behind them at least, right? I could see the way. They're not rogue warriors, I guess, is what we'll say. And, it's just more exciting to go about it that way, I think, on these two-game slates sometimes.
I mean, I don't think playing the chalk in League of Legends consistently is profitable. Like, I think it actually ends up being unprofitable. And so if you're going to be unprofitable for a lot of the time, at least build lineups that when they finish first, you make up for all those unprofitable slates, whereas I think you're basically just constantly digging yourself deeper playing these chalk lineups because, like we said, it even happens in tournaments, like one mistake and you're out. And so all of a sudden, whatever your bankroll is, it's not going to keep up if you're constantly playing for min cash as opposed to first. So,
right.
I mean, we're not here telling everyone to just be like irresponsible, but I think you have to appreciate that to play tournaments correctly, you should be playing to win them. And while winning them with 37 people, I guess, is technically still winning them, you're not going to make enough money over the long term. So anyway, we got a comment on Twitter about this DAMWON revenge situation. Is there any chance? I mean, of course, there's a chance, but do you think this is a good enough spot for DAMWON to prioritize them over the other big favorites? Like we've got some big ones. We do not have a biggest of the season on this slate, but we still have huge ones. WE favored against OMG, coming off their win against Rogue Warriors. DAMWON against Fredit BRION are second. Then we've got Edward Gaming against LNG. And then the closest one is Hanwha against Afrika. So do you trust DAMWON enough to avenge their early season loss to Fredit BRION that you would want to long stack them over a team like WE, EDG, or Hanwha Life?
Yeah, I think so. I think DAMWON are pretty trustworthy tomorrow. The one good thing we know about DAMWON is some of their players are very vindictive. So they've often commented about, so G2 in Europe, at Worlds 2 years ago, G2 knocked DAMWON out of the tournament. And all last year, DAMWON was talking, we want to play G2 again, we want to smash them, crush them. And so we know that some of these DAMWON guys are pretty revenge-oriented by the sounds of it, right? So I said to the guy that tweeted us on Twitter that, DAMWON's probably had this matchup circled ever since they shockingly lost the first time around. So I think DAMWON are in a great spot tomorrow, right? It's hard not to say. I know we know they lost last time, but that was the shock of the season, I think, so far. And all I really see is DAMWON, with some marginal but decent salary savings at some of their positions for a matchup in which they should really crush, right? So yeah, I think DAMWON are like full speed, full steam ahead, very trustworthy. But to your question specifically, there is maybe some concern that can they outscore some of these other teams? But I think they have a good shot to do so. So I really wouldn't have much pause at all on using DAMWON tomorrow.
I think we can definitely have this consideration that WE may have such an easy time with OMG that they don't score well enough.
Yep.
We've seen that a few times even this week on these chalky slates that just the gigantic favorites are actually better off as short stacks because they're just not scoring enough.
Right.
I feel
today Suning, though,
true.
scored quite well, right? So they outscored Rare Atom. But yeah, to your point though, we have seen a lot of these lopsided matchups like this not produce the kill totals we want for the favorite. So yeah, small pause with WE as well, but I really wouldn't have a lot of hesitation with using them either, to be honest.
I was going to say the both game ones today when I was checking scores, I couldn't believe that the scores so Rare Atom took the first one 10-1. Suning took theirs 11-0, and I'm like, these scores are disgusting. And then they picked it up after that. But I feel like if DAMWON hadn't beaten Fredit BRION, if Fredit BRION had beaten someone else, I think I would have had this thought of DAMWON will just kind of take it easy because they don't have to do much. So maybe they aren't worth targeting because they don't need to smash them.
Right.
But if they're that vindictive, maybe I do need to build in a narrative just to convince myself to go that way. Because you're not playing two captain carry if you want to play DAMWON and WE. So you got to basically choose one of them, and they're both in great spots. So it's kind of is one of them in too good of a spot that they don't have to pile up the kills.
Yeah, it's hard to answer because we've seen that those lopsided matchups the favorites don't always score as well.
Right.
But at the same time, it's if you look at this slate, are you really going to be surprised if I think WE have the easiest matchup on the slate, right? So if we look at WE though, are either of us going to really be that surprised if they're the highest scoring team tomorrow too? It wouldn't surprise us, right? So. Right. I think people just should think about it, in that sense, maybe W just rolls them and they don't need as many. Take that into your consideration when you're building your lineups. But at the same time, it's not enough to completely push me off WE. I wouldn't fear using them if you really feel strongly about them, right? So it's kind of, I'm kind of saying two things, right? But I just, it wouldn't be a shock if they're the highest scoring team tomorrow, right? So
I totally agree with that line of thinking. And I'll be honest, my initial thoughts looking at the slate was that everybody would think that like you can't go wrong with WE or DAMWON.
Right.
So I was like, what can I do with EDG and Hanwha Life? Like maybe that's where I go. And I mean, we've seen some decent scores from both of them, certainly HLE and Afrika. The weird thing I felt about that Afrika opponent is like I think Afrika are definitely good enough to make HLE kind of like pile up the kills, but they also might be good enough to beat them. Like I don't think. I mean, it's certainly not like the biggest upset we'd see.
Right.
But I still think I'm going to end up favoring EDG and Afrika because you pretty much need an underdog if you want to carry captain at least with WE and DAMWON. So maybe I just ignore the two humongous favorites and just try to focus on the smaller ones.
Yeah, and I think they're going to be lower owned too, right? So you get a little bit of ownership leverage in your favor by going down to to Hanwha Life or EDG. And I mean, EDG are one of the best teams in China, right? So it's just that LNG are like a halfway decent team, but I find it hard to believe that LNG are going to beat EDG. Could they take a game? Maybe. I guess I kind of feel the same about the Afrika Hanwha Life. So I'll say it about both of them. Like, are the underdogs good enough to take a game? Yes. But I don't expect either underdog to win, and I don't really like. I don't think that either EDG or Hanwha Life are going to have that difficult of a time. Honestly, EDG's like second in China. I mean, they've been awesome all season, and LNG have some good players, but I don't think across the board they have enough to really stop EDG. So that's honestly looking like a sweep to me. And same for Hanwha Life and Afrika. Like, I think Hanwha Life are just better across the board. So it really doesn't make me feel that hesitant. Now, will we see 4 sweeps tomorrow? Probably not. So an underdog's probably going to pick up a game in one or maybe 2 of these matchups. But for me, it feels like a day where all the favorites are going to win. I just like Afrika are the closest, I think, matchup, and I just don't like Afrika's players, man. Like, I say it all the time, right? Like they're kind of this like lower to mid-level team in Korea. They're better than the really bad teams, but they're not at the level of the really good teams. And I'm not sure I want to call Hanwha Life a really good team, but I do think that they're better than Afrika. So I really see all 4 of these matchups going towards the favorites. It's just trying to figure out, who's going to score the most points is going to be the tough part for tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're building lineups with the expectation that WE and DAMWON sweep and the other 2 go 2-1, it really just comes down to whether whoever you think wins the other ones, which just based on the odds, EDG and HLE, do they score enough in that game that they lose to make up for the games not played bonus from the others? But do you think most people try to play WE and LNG or Afrika, or do you think that they just try to jam in DAMWON and WE with, the classic two game slate double support or something?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's enough salary savings from some of these favorites that you could actually build some interesting lineups without having to punt anywhere. So I don't know. Like, me personally, I really don't want to take a shot. Like, I definitely don't want to take a shot on Fredit, BRION, or OMG. I think they're both going to get smashed and swept. And I really just don't – like, I could see people wanting to go to Afrika. I really can't see people wanting to go to LNG either, except for, like, leverage.
Yep.
Because I just think EDG are that good, right? Like, LNG aren't crap. They're not awful, but I think EDG are just one of the best teams in the world. Like, they're great. Like, they lost to RNG at the weekend in a top of the table matchup, but RNG are the first place team, and so it's no like shine really off them for that. So I can't see going to LNG either, honestly, because I just think EDG are at a much higher level. So that leaves Afrika, and I just don't like Afrika's lineup. Like I can't see Fly standing up to Chovy or Bang standing up to Deft at this point in their careers, right? And then you're asking like Keane to really do a lot in the top lane, and Morgan is just not bad enough to be an issue, right? Like I don't know if Keane can really take over the game. We haven't really seen him do that this year, so it's just I think you're just asking a lot from Afrika, and for me, I just don't want to be on any of these underdogs at the end of the day.
If I told you all 4 swept, do you still think WE is the highest scoring team?
Man, I don't know. It's hard. It's just like a really tough question. Like if we knew all 4 were gonna sweep, but we didn't know the kill totals, man, I might lean EDG.
That's what
honestly.
I was gonna say. Absolutely.
I think they can put up we've seen the tricky part about this slate is like, yeah, we know the teams we're gonna want to target, but all 4 of these teams have put up very good point totals in the past. Like, we're not like looking at this slate and being like, yeah, EDG are really good, but they don't push the pace. They don't score. They don't get a lot of kills, right? Like, all 4 of these teams can score really well. So that's what makes it kind of tricky. So I'm almost, as we've hashed this out a bit, I'm almost leaning like, well, can I get double mid, or probably can't do double AD carry with any combination of the favorites, I'm going to guess, without doing it. But can I do a double mid maybe instead of having to do a double jungle tomorrow by paying for some of the cheaper favorites? Maybe that's an option, because I think all 4 of these teams can score well, and if I can jam in 2 carries, maybe that's the way I want to go, without saying, hey, I've got to get 4 WE no matter what, or I've got to get 4 DAMWON no matter. Like, maybe I can make lineups I like a bit more by going down a little bit in price.
Yeah, I see that. Just looking at the quick stats, so DAMWON leads the slate in kills per game at 15.39, I'll call it.
Right.
WE's right behind him at 15.8. OMG, 15.34 deaths per game. Like, stat-wise, it just, man, does it line up well for WE.
Right.
And
you got to pay for that, though, right?
You really got to pay for it.
Caveat, I guess.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're playing WE and trying to get another favorite, what you're basically doing is paying up so much that you end up not being able to play the guys who get all the kills in a game that might have a lot of them.
Right.
So, I'm not sure how much you're really benefiting unless you're convinced that Afrika wins or something like that.
Right. I mean, the way, like I said, I think when we first started talking about tomorrow's slate, is I just see DAMWON at cheaper salaries than WE and EDG in a matchup that I think is probably just as good as WE's against OMG.
Right.
And that makes me kind of want to look at DAMWON a bit harder, because I get a little bit of salary savings. Like, it's not a lot, right? But it's $400 in the 80 carry roll from Jumeng the Ghost. And, if you do that for every roll, it adds up, and maybe you can make more competitive lineups that way, right? So kind of where what I'm eyeing up here as we've hashed this out.
Makes sense. I got nothing else.
Yeah, I think a little longer today. Well, it felt like it, maybe not, as I look at the timer here. But I think
4 games.
Pretty good in-depth strategy, if I do say so myself, right? So I think we kind of hit on everything and all the talking points, at least. So that's what we're trying to give the people, right? So
That's right. If you guys agree and think we did a pretty good job, if you could please hit the like button below. Feel free to subscribe to all the RotoWire videos. You can also subscribe to RotoWire itself. You can get access to a ton of sports that we offer. If you want to try us out for free, you can do that. No credit card required. Get a 10-day subscription at rotowire.com/pod. That's POD. Gets you access, like I said, to all the sports we cover, as well as our subscriber Discord chat. So check that out. Ethan, thank you for that, and good luck on Thursday.
All right, good talking to you. We'll see you tomorrow, man. Good luck.